Corey Mitchell Hart is a Canadian singer, best known for his hit singles Sunglasses at Night and Never Surrender. He has sold over 16 million records worldwide and scored 9 US Billboard Top 40 hits. In Canada, Hart has amassed 30 Top 40 hits, including 11 in the top 10, over the course of 30 years in the music industry. Nominated for the Grammy Award for Best New Artist in 1984, Hart is also a multiple Juno Award nominee and winner in Canada. He has also been honored by the American Society of Composers, Authors and Publishers and the Society of Composers, Authors and Music Publishers of Canada. Early life: Hart was born on May 31, 1962 in Montreal, Quebec, the youngest of 5 children. He grew up in Montreal, Spain, Mexico City and Key Biscayne, Florida as a young boy. He became fluent in 3 languages due to his upbringing in these locations. Hart's parents, Mina and Bert Hart, separated when he was 10 years old. Hart then returned to Montreal to live with his mother and older brother Robbie. He shared an especially close relationship with his mother, to whom Hart's first album was dedicated. Hart's lack of contact and intimacy with his father pained him throughout his life and colored many of his compositions, such as the 1998 song Reconcile. Hart's first experience as a performing artist came at age 11, when he sang Ben for Tom Jones in Miami. He also recorded songs with Paul Anka in Las Vegas during this time period. In 1980, Hart represented Canada in the World Popular Song Festival in Tokyo, marking his first public performance of original material. Hart also met Grammy-winning singer-songwriter Christopher Cross at the competition. Back in Canada, Hart reached out to Billy Joel, who was on tour in the Montreal area at the time. Joel's backup band contacted him and Hart ended up recording several demos with them in Long Island, New York. Hart worked with several other notable Canadian studio musicians on demos before finally signing to a major label, Aquarius Records, in 1982 at the age of 20. Several songs on his first album, such as The World is Fire, reflect the many rejections and tribulations Hart encountered along the path to getting a recording contract. Recording career Sunglasses at Night, and First Offense Hart's debut album, First Offense, was recorded at Revolution Recording Studios in Manchester, England in the spring of 1982. It was produced by John Astley and Phil Chapman. Released in 1983, First Offense featured the US Billboard Top 10 hit song Sunglasses at Night, and Top 20 follow-up single It Ain't Enough. The album went platinum in the United States and quadruple platinum in Canada. First Offense initially received a modest response upon its Canadian release. It was only after garnering US success in the summer of 1984 that he became a superstar in his native Canada, a source of some consternation for Hart. It was slow going in Canada when my album was first released. It had sold around 12,000 copies. I remember sitting dolefully in the Capitol offices in Toronto with Dean Cameron and him making an urgent phone call to EMI in Los Angeles. He was pushing and pleading for a rep with a US label to come see me perform live. At that time, the Canadian industry needed US validation before really giving the homegrown domestic talent their full enthusiastic support. It was frustrating for many Canadian artists who couldn't unregistered trademark T land a deal south of the border. First Offense also featured legendary guitarist Eric Clapton on the record's closing track, Jenny Faye. John felt there was one song Eric Clapton would really like. So just out of the blue he sent him the song, and lo and behold Eric Clapton was on the phone saying he wanted to play on it and asking how I would mind if he did. I didn't. Eric was the classic gentleman. Here I was, this Canadian kid in England with big-time producers doing my first album, and Clapton tells me, "It's such a pretty song, so easy to play. The type of thing I'd write myself." The Juno Award-winning video for Sunglasses at Night, which featured a futuristic, Orwellian society, helped propel the popularity of the track and led to Hart being instantly recognized worldwide. In retrospect, I was totally unprepared for the fan adulation. I really couldn't unregistered trademark T go out anywhere without being mobbed or chased by my fans. the transformation from unknown artist to rock star was surreal and overwhelming. The power of video certainly played a key role. It was the same for many artists of that decade like Cyndi Lauper, Madonna and George Michael to name but a few. Hart toured the United States and Canada extensively in 1984 and early 1985, first as a supporting act for Culture Club, April Wine, Thomas Dolby, Hall & Oates and Rick Springfield, then later as a headline performer. First Offense was nominated for Best Album of the Year at that year's ADISQ Awards in Hart's native Quebec, where the singer was also nominated for Best New Artist. First Offense won the FAR copyright licks. Never Surrender, Boy in the Box and Fields of Fire =. Hart's second album was Boy in the Box, released in June 1985, which reached diamond status in Canada by February 1986. It was only the second album by a Canadian artist ever to do so. The album featured the hit single Never Surrender, which spent 9 consecutive weeks at number 1 in Canada and peaked at number 3 on the US Billboard Top 40, also earning Hart an ASCAP award as one of the most played songs of 1985. Never Surrender was the number 2 song in the year-end Canadian charts in 1985, finishing second only to the Northern Lights charity single Tears Are Not Enough, in which Hart had also participated, alongside veteran Canadian artists like Gordon Lightfoot, Neil Young, Joni Mitchell and 1980s chart rival Bryan Adams. Subsequent singles all charted in the Canadian and US Top 40. In the US, Boy in the Box peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and went platinum. Boy in the Box gained Hart a raft of accolades, nominations and honors. The album was nominated for a Juno Award as well as an ADISQ Award for Best Album, taking home a FAR copyright licks for Hart in this category. Never Surrender was nominated for the Juno for Best-Selling Single of 1985. Hart was also nominated alongside veteran Canadian musicians for the coveted Composer of the Year award at both the Junos and the ADISQ Awards, winning a FAR copyright licks in this field. He also received nods in the Juno categories of Best Video for Never Surrender, and Best Male Vocalist of the Year, as well as an ADISQ nomination for Concert of the Year. Hart also won the FAR copyright licks for the Quebec artist, achieving the most success outside Quebec in the Anglophone market, along with Best Male Artist. Accolades carried over into the following year's Juno nominations with nods for Composer of the Year and Best-Selling Single for Everything in My Heart. As in 1984, 1985 saw Hart touring extensively in North America and Japan in support of Boy in the Box. By the end of the year he was filling stadium-sized arenas like the Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, the Budokan in Tokyo, the Boston Orpheum and the Forum in Montreal. His frequent media appearances on such popular TV programs as Good Rockin' Tonight, Friday Night Videos and MTV, and Music Life, along with promotional tours in Europe and Australasia, garnered Hart an audience of enthusiastic supporters, and at one point he was receiving over 1,000 pieces of fan mail per week. Fields of Fire, Hart's third album release, came out in fall 1986 and promptly went double platinum in Canada and achieved gold status in the US. It featured the US top 20 hit single I Am By Your Side, as well as the Canadian number 1 single Can't Help Falling in Love, originally performed by Elvis Presley. This was the first recorded cover version of a song Hart had released to date. The song was also a top 10 hit in the Philippines and Japan. Critics generally agreed that Fields of Fire displayed a new, more mature direction in Hart's songwriting. With his third album, this young Canadian exhibits a growing maturity. He's come a long way from singing about wearing sunglasses at night. Fields of Fire earned Hart several nods at the 1987 Juno Awards, in the categories of Best Male Vocalist of the Year, Best Album Graphics, and Single of the Year for Can't Help Falling in Love. The singer was also nominated for Best Male Artist and Album of the Year at that year's ADISQ Awards. As in previous years, Hart launched a world tour in support of the record. He performed sold-out concerts in Japan and made numerous promotional appearances in Europe from fall 1986 through mid-1987. However, Hart's tour had to be halted prematurely in July 1987 after the then 25-year-old singer collapsed backstage from exhaustion after a concert in Canada. The nearly 4-year cycle of constant touring and recording had caught up with Hart, forcing him into a period of rest and recuperation. Young Man Running, Bang! And Attitude and Virtue =, what ensued was a return to songwriting that resulted in the singer's fourth album release, Young Man Running. Featuring the US Top 40 hit In Your Soul, Young Man Running marked a new direction for Hart's songwriting and musicianship. With notable backing musicians like Ruby Turner and largely produced by Hart himself, the album reflected a new level of maturity and ability. His lyrics have always been serious-minded, but this time Hart's clever, obtuse artiness has given way to passages where he's actually speaking from the heart and intelligently too. Famed photographer Herb Ritts shot the cover and other photographs for the album. The video for In Your Soul featured location footage in New Mexico and Moab, Utah, and was directed by Mitchell Hart. 1988 saw Hart touring extensively in Japan and the Philippines, as well as Canada's East Coast and in Quebec, where he pleased the audience by speaking mostly in French. Hart again sold out the Tokyo Nippon Budokan as well as arenas in other Japanese cities in the Ultra, a 13,000-seat venue outside Manila. Although Young Man Running received an ADISQ nomination for Album of the Year, Hart's record company neglected to send in the necessary credentials for concomitant Juno Awards, shutting the singer out of several categories for which the album would have qualified based on sales and airplay. Early 1989 saw Hart return to songwriting in preparation for what would be his final album with EMI America, Bang! Recorded in Los Angeles, the release debuted in early 1990 to positive reviews and renewed attention from media outlets like MTV. Hart continues to come into his own and develop his talent, and this sturdy helping of pop rock with his soulful edge is proof. Great multi-format potential. Bang! Shipped platinum in Canada and hit the Japanese top 20 just 2 weeks into its release. The first single, A Little Love, hit the US Top 40 in early 1990 and featured another trademark video by Mitchell Hart. Bang! Also reunited Hart with Ruby Turner and featured legendary drummer Kenny Aronoff on drums and percussion. Despite the success of the first single and widespread critical acclaim, Bang! Suffered from internal struggles at EMI and management turmoil. Among the more egregious oversights was a repeated failure by EMI to nominate Hart for any Juno Award categories that year. Hart was released from his contract with the company in August 1990. EMI later released a collection of Hart singles on a compilation album, Singles, in 1991. Hart did secure a nomination for Best Male Artist at the 1990 ADISQ Awards. Sire Records co-founder Seymour Stein approached Hart at this juncture and eventually signed him to Sire shortly thereafter. What followed was Hart's sole album for the label, Attitude and Virtue, released in 1992. A top 40 success in Canada, the album scored Hart a Juno nomination for Best Male Vocalist of the Year and featured several notable guest musicians including Jane Siberry, Duff McKagan of Guns N' Roses, Terence Trent D'Arby, and the return of Ruby Turner. 3 singles were released from the album, Baby When I Call Your Name, 92 Days of Rain, and Always. All 3 singles charted in the Canadian Top 40. Baby When I Call Your Name and 92 Days of Rain were accompanied by videos, the latter helmed by Hart's first director, Rob Courtley. The first song on the album, Back in the Hand, summed up the prior decade in a celebration of feeling back in control of his musical career. Said the singer of his work, "I went through what every artist will go through in his career who's worth his salt. Any artist from Elton John to Steve Winwood. There are peaks and valleys in a career. If you delude yourself into thinking that there are only peaks, you're a fool. I'm a sensitive individual. I would be dishonest to tell you that there were not moments of great pain. But I am an individual that has a lot of inner strength and believes very strongly, and I'll write about that in songs, to find your solace and your refuge in yourself." Attitude and Virtue is very much a Corey Hart album. It has my influences of reggae and rock and roll and R&B. It's just a hybrid of those songs put to my melodies and my lyrics. I think it's the most cohesive work I've done." Hart fell silent after the album's subsequent success faltered, and he entered a period of self-imposed isolation from writing and touring. He released just one single, a cover of Edith Piaf's "Seem to Love," in 1994. Career rebirth = Julie Masse, Corey Hart, Celine Dion and Jade = Hart presented an award at the Juno Awards of 1993 in Toronto with Julie Masse, a fellow nominee who was rising quickly in the Canadian music scene thanks to her 2 platinum-selling albums in Quebec, Julie Masse and a Contagieux. Upon seeing them together, Masse's manager suggested that Hart work with her on a new English-language album. What followed was the seminal collaboration of their respective careers and later, their personal lives. Hart co-produced and wrote 5 songs for Masse's gold-selling Circle of One, which was released in Canada in 1994 and marked the first time Hart had written and produced songs for an artist other than himself. This also led to their relationship as husband and wife and parents to 4 children, daughters India, Dante and River, and son Rain. Hart was previously married to photographer-graphic designer Erica Gagnon from 1990 to 1994, and Masse to cinematographer Sylvain Brault from 1993 to 1994. Following his work with Masse, Hart found himself inspired by his newfound partner and parenthood. He signed a new contract with Sony Music Canada and in 1996 released a self-titled CD Corey Hart, which led to a career revival. The album was co-produced by Humberto Gatica and contained some of Hart's most introspective work, spurred by his personal life changes. Sparked by the success of Black Cloud Rain, which reached number 2 on the Canadian Top 40, Corey Hart went platinum in Canada and re-established Hart as a fixture in the Canadian music industry. The video for Black Cloud Rain was directed by Javier Aguilera, an up-and-coming young Mexican filmmaker. He toured across the country for the first time since the cancelled 1987 Fields of Fire tour, and subsequent singles from the album all reached a Canadian Top 40. Corey Hart also earned Hart more award nominations, including Juno nods for Best Male Vocalist of the Year and Best Producer for Black Cloud Rain, and Simplicity, a non-single album track, and Best Anglophone Quebec Artist at the ADISQ Awards. In 1997, fellow Canadian Celine Dion released her Let's Talk About Love album, which featured the theme from the film Titanic, My Heart Will Go On. Also on the album were 2 songs written and co-produced by Hart, the Canadian Top 40 hit Miles to Go, and Where Is the Love? As documented in Dion's concert DVD Au Cas Du Stade, Dion's team reached out to Hart based on his recent success in Canada and asked if he would write and produce for the songstress. He was also nominated for the Juno Award for Best Producer for the Dion tracks. Later in 1999 Hart performed live in the U.S. for the first time since the late 1980s as Dion's special guest in places such as St. Louis, Missouri and Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Hart collaborated with Dion again on Prayer, from her 2002 CD A New Day Has Come. In 1998, Hart released a second album on Sony, Jade, featuring a duet with partner Masse on the Jean-Jacques Goldman song La Base. The lead-off single So Visible, and follow-up release Break the Chain, both charted in the Canadian Top 40, the singer gained yet another Juno Award nomination and Hart once again toured Canada in support of the album. After enjoying a comeback in Canada in the late 1990s, Hart again came to a personal crossroads. All I had ever wanted or known since I was a boy was to be creating music. But I couldn't continue to record or tour if I aspired to be a 24/7 father to our children. The two worlds simply collide. At the end of the millennium, Hart once again fell largely silent as he and Masse married and relocated to Nassau, Bahamas to focus on raising their young family. He returned to Montreal in late 2002 for a 2-night stand of concerts with the Montreal Symphony Orchestra, performing songs from Corey Hart and Jade as well as older hits to the accompaniment of the MSO. New Directions Siena Records and Walk-In Beauty In 2002 Seymour Stein of Sire Records reconnected with Hart. Stein offered Hart a boutique label with Sire Warner Music Canada, Siena Records. The label, formed in 2003, went through several years of development while Hart pursued a suitable debut artist. He collaborated sporadically on individual songs with select French-Canadian artists like Garou and Wilfred Lobthillier in the mid-2000s, and performed with others including Maggie Lagarca copyright on Quebec television. However, his breakthrough came when an associate sent him a demo MP3 by little-known performer Marie-Christine Depester. The singer, a Montreal native of Haitian descent, became Sienna's first official signing. In May 2011, Marie-Christine released her debut CD, Walkin' Beauty, in Canada on Hart's label. Hart executive produced the album and wrote the bulk of the CD's songs. Walkin' Beauty features a cameo performance by music legend Stevie Wonder on the cover track Keep On Runnin', as well as a modern reworking of Hart's own Sunglasses at Night, reborn as Girl and Shades for Marie-Christine. Hart had refrained from granting interpolation rights to the song for over 25 years, despite requests by notable artists like Sean P. Diddy Combs and Nelly Furtado. The CD also features original compositions by Marie-Christine, and its debut single, Totally Random, became a hit in her native Quebec during the summer of 2011. A second single, Silence, was released in January 2012 to Canadian radio, and a third single from the album, Port-au-Prince, debuted in May 2012. Marie-Christine performs regularly on the Montreal club scene and at provincial music festivals in Quebec in support of the CD. To mark the launch, she and Hart engaged the media on a short promotional tour of major Canadian markets in May 2011. Relaunch and renewal. Online. In mid-2011, Hart established a new online presence with the relaunch of the www.coreyhart.com website. Hart also created an official Facebook page to reach his audience. Spurred by popular demand, his website was again redesigned and relaunched again in October 2011 and currently features rare photos, live performance video of 2 previously unreleased songs, and blog posts from Hart himself. He continues to interact with fans on his Facebook page and has conducted interviews via video based on questions submitted online. Also in fall 2011, he and wife Julie Mass Hart offered the following limited edition merchandise exclusively online: custom-designed, handcrafted jewelry by Julie Mass Hart, original paintings by Corey Hart, with initial net proceeds donated to Project Medicare for Haiti. Additional works by Hart were released in December 2011, May 2012 and December 2012. New t-shirts and sweatshirts, 6 previously unreleased songs, Sail Away, Eternally, She's So Good, Open Up Your Heart, Ciao Bella, and Good Good Lovin'. 3 previously unreleased demo recordings of In Your Sweater, Loving Heart, and Baby Do I were offered in December 2011. Hart also released rehearsal recordings of Sunglasses at Night, and U2's one in November 2014. Marie-Christine's Walkin' Beauty CD and MP3 download. A longtime supporter of various health-related and other charitable causes, Hart participated in Movember Canada in November 2011. In September 2012, he and Julie Mass Hart also appeared at the Not in Bianco Cancer Benefit in Montreal, marking Mass Hart's first live performance in nearly 16 years in her native Quebec. In November 2013, Hart participated in It's Always Something, the annual Gilders Club fundraiser at the Sony Theatre in Toronto. Current plans. Hart has said he intends to keep his website and Facebook page updated with new offerings and video interviews as his schedule allows. However, he maintains his primary focus of being a hands-on, full-time father. He and his wife now split their time between the Bahamas and Barcelona, Spain, where his daughters attend a prestigious tennis academy. In spring 2012, Hart collaborated with Canadian DJ One Love on a remix of the song Truth Will Set You Free from Young Man Running. The single, Truth Will Set You Free, was released globally to radio, and on CoreyHart.com on June 19, 2012 via Sienna Records Warner Music Canada. The song was Hart's first U.S. single in 20 years, and Hart reunited with Mayat Avis for the video. Truth was originally penned for friends in the music business who were born gay, according to Hart, and disseminating the message of the song took on new resonance after One Love approached him for permission to remix it. Says Hart, I saw a lot of pain, a lot of crying, A Lot of Hiding, and It Affected Me. With the Canadian Top 40 success of Truth Will Set You Free, Hart made selected appearances at Pride celebrations in Toronto and London over the summer of 2012. On September 28, 2012, Hart performed at the Chum FM Back in the Day Bash held at Toronto's Masonic Temple. Over 1,000 people attended the show, for which tickets sold out within hours of its being announced on the radio station. Hart and his daughter Dante also appeared on CTV's Marilyn Dennis Chat Show, where the singer performed his hit single It Ain't Enough Live in the Studio. Hart later co-wrote and performed on a track from Canadian recording artist KO's album Black on Blonde. The song, Like a Comet, was the first time Hart has performed or written in the hip-hop genre. He also reworked his 1984 hit Sunglasses at Night into a new interpretation called Night Visions with Chicago-based DJ production team Papercha $. The single was released on October 23, 2013. On April 8, 2014, Hart released 10,000 Horses, an EP exclusive to iTunes, which features duets with Jane Siberry and Mass, as well as previously unreleased tracks and a remake of the song Without You now called Falling from Grassland. Hart celebrated his 50th birthday and the 30th anniversary of his professional debut in the music industry in 2012. On June 3, 2014, Hart marked the 30th anniversary year of the release of his first single Sunglasses at Night at a farewell concert, One Night, 3 Decades of Music in Montreal, Canada at the Bell Centre. The concert was postponed from Hart's birthday, May 31, due to an NHL playoff run at the time by the Montreal Canadiens. Also released at the Montreal show was Hart's autobiography, Chasing the Sun, My Life in Music. The 437-page book details many behind-the-scenes stories of Hart's life before and after his early rise to fame, including 500 rare personal and archival photos. In summer 2014, Hart was invited by Shania Twain to appear as her special guest in Prince Edward Island during the PEI Founders Week celebration of the anniversary of Canada's creation. This was Hart's first visit to that province. At the August 30 show, Hart did a cover of Stompin' Tom Connor's Bud the Spud during his performance in Charlottetown. In fall 2014, Hart released an acoustic version of Face Brave, a song written for and performed by Jonathan Roy. Roy, the son of legendary hockey player Patrick Roy, also appeared on stage with Hart in PEI as well as at the June 3 farewell concert in Montreal. He is currently signed to Hart's Siena Records and working with Hart on his next album. At a private fundraiser in Fort McMurray, Alberta in November 2014, Hart, Roy and backup singer Kim Richardson recorded a live-off-the-floor rehearsal performance of U2's 1992 single One. The video was released on YouTube on November 5 and reached over 32,000 views in 3 days. In media, Hart was briefly considered for the role of Marty McFly in the 1985 film Back to the Future. Producer Steven Spielberg sent Hart a copy of the script with an invitation for a screen test. A flattered Hart declined, preferring to focus on music instead of acting. Fellow Canadian Michael J. Fox eventually starred in the hit film. At the height of his mid-1980s success, Hart was approached to record several songs for popular films of the era. He declined, preferring to write and record his own material. Among the songs Hart rejected were Danger Zone from the soundtrack to the 1986 film Top Gun. A rare exception was the song Hold On, written for the soundtrack to 1987's Beverly Hills Cop 2. Hart's 1985 single Eurasian Eyes was featured in the film 9½ Weeks, and the final track from Fields of Fire, Blind Faith, was featured in the January 16, 1987 episode of Miami Vice entitled Down for the Count, PT2. In 2002, Sunglasses at Night was featured in the award-winning video game Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. The game went on to sell over 15 million units, making it the 4th highest-selling video game ever made for Sony PlayStation 2. The song title is also an important clue to the mystery in Lou Sampson's debut novel, Bashert. In 2015, Hart's hit single Sunglasses at Night was featured on the American horror comedy show Scream Queens. Discography =albums =singles =videography Music videos. List of major awards and nominations. Canadian Recording Industry Association Diamond Award, Boy in the Box, January 1986. Hart was only the second Canadian artist to achieve this honor, and BITB was the fastest-selling diamond album to date at that time. Society of Composers, Authors and Music Publishers of Canada Classics Awards for songs with over 100,000 spins: Sunglasses at Night, It Ain't Enough, Never Surrender, Everything in My Heart, I Am By Your Side, In Your Soul, Tell Me, and 3rd of June. Boy in the Box, Eurasian Eyes, and Black Cloud Rain are also very close to passing this historic mark, likely around the end of 2012. In the U.S. First Offense, Boy in the Box and Fields of Fire are all gold certified. Boy in the Box is also certified platinum. In Canada, First Offense went triple platinum, and Hart achieved the aforementioned Diamond Award for Boy in the Box, with a double platinum certification for Fields of Fire, and platinum for Young Man Running, Bang! And Corey Hart. Hart has also been awarded with several gold-selling single awards for Everything in My Heart, Can't Help Falling in Love, and Boy in the Box, and a platinum single award for Never Surrender. Juno Awards 1984, nominated, Best Male Vocalist of the Year, Composer of the Year, Single of the Year, Best Video. 1. Best Video, 1985, nominated, Best Male Vocalist of the Year, Composer of the Year, Album of the Year, Best-Selling Single, Best Video. 1. Best-Selling Single, 1986, nominated, Composer of the Year, Best-Selling Single, 1987, nominated, Best Male Vocalist of the Year, Best Album Graphics, Single of the Year, 1988. There was no awards event in 1988 due to a decision to restore the Juno's scheduling to the earlier portion of each year. 1989, 1990, 1991, 1992, no nominations or awards. 1993, nominated, Best Male Vocalist of the Year, 1994, 1995, 1996, no nominations or awards. 1997, nominated, Best Male Vocalist of the Year, Best Producer. 1998, nominated, Best Producer, and Where is the Love for Celine Dion. 1999, nominated, Best Male Vocalist of the Year. 2000-2002, no nominations or awards. 2003, nominated, Dance Recording of the Year. 2004-2014, no nominations or awards. ADISQ Awards 1984, nominated, Album of the Year, Best New Artist. 1. Album of the Year, 1985, nominated, Best Anglophone Quebec Artist, Composer of the Year, Best Male Artist, Album of the Year, Concert of the Year. 1. Best Anglophone Quebec Artist, Composer of the Year, Best Male Artist, Album of the Year, 1986, nominated, Best Male Artist. 1987, nominated, Best Male Artist, Album of the Year. 1988, nominated, Album of the Year. 1989, nominated, Best Male Artist. 1990, nominated, Best Anglophone Quebec Artist. 1991-1996, no nominations or awards. 1997, nominated, Best Anglophone Quebec Artist. 1998-2014, no nominations or awards. Other awards and nominations Gemini Awards, 1988, nominated, Best Variety Program and Best Performance in a Variety or Performing Arts Program or Series, Corey Hart Special, CBC TV, Favorite Male Star, Pepsi-Cola Canada National Poll, July 1986, CASBY Award, Male Vocalist of the Year, 1987, Golden Gate Award, 1988, San Francisco International Film Festival, Best Variety or Performing Arts Program, Corey Hart Special, CBC TV. See also, Canadian Rock, List of Diamond-certified albums in Canada. References. External links, Official website, Official Corey Hart Facebook page, Corey Hart at AllMusic, Corey Hart at the Internet Movie Database.